I've got a wind problem. It's most embarrassing. I don't know what to tell the neighbours. In that storm we had the other week, I actually lost a blade off the turbine. It went into orbit somewhere. I've asked the neighbours. Nobody's seen it. So I'm going to bring this thing down and make a new blade. I do have it up there as more of a kinetic sculpture than a source of reliable power. But one day I'll be pulling it down and putting up a vertical axis wind turbine, which is much better in mucky air. This is about 60 RPM, 1 rev per second. Hard to tell on a video, as I say. Here we go, now it's fair rocketing along, but the camera makes it look like it's turning backwards. So I would estimate that now it's doing pretty close to its full speed of about 200 to 250 RPM. Oh. Like I say, the wind around here is pretty fluky. But the great thing is, whenever we've got grey, cloudy skies like this in the winter time, and I've got no sun, at least I'm getting something. And this entire device, as I said earlier, cost me about $200. It's made out of sewer pipe, chair legs, mixing bowls, an old ceiling fan, and a bicycle steering head. Today I pulled the thing down so we can look at making a new blade for it. Now I've got 2 blades taken off here because I've just removed a blade and I'm going to use it as a pattern to make a new one. Now my blades are made from PVC sewer pipe. So it's a very, very easy job to just grab one of the other blades, lay it on top, draw around, and then cut the thing out and shape the edges of it slightly. And I'll have this thing up and going again very shortly. But the other drama was, because I wasn't here when this happened, and it ran for some time in a high wind, hopelessly out of balance, it's shaken its own tail off. It's actually broken the welds and smashed this piece off. So I'll have to do a little bit of a welding job as well. Now while I've got this down, I can show you that the mast that my turbine is on is cantilevered on its base. It's very easy for me by myself to just winch this thing over for doing any maintenance or adjustments to it. Because the thing is pretty much a work in progress and I'm making changes to it quite regularly, it's a real handy thing to be able to have this pivoting mechanism and a winch down here on the ground that pulls on this rope over what we call the jack pole. That's removed when the thing's up, but the jack pole puts the point of tipping right up there, so it's a fairly easy pull to pull that down, lift up the mast, and then this rope becomes one of the guy ropes and it gets attached down to where the winch is now attached. Now, that could be done with a jigsaw or a skill saw or an angle grinder, or you may even manage with some kind of hand saw if you had to. But it's a good idea to have the grinder, because now that you've cut the thing out, you will have to shape the leading and trailing edges of the blade. Okay, so that's the profile cut. Now all I have to do is dress the edges, but I won't be using a standard grinding wheel. A lot of people who are only at the home handyman level and don't get to use all the toys don't even know about these things called flat wheels. They're available, you can buy them in hardware stores. It's surprising how long they last. Even when they look worn, they still sand beautifully. And they're available in different sizes for different size grinders, but they're an awesome finishing tool. After you've done the grinding, you can polish things up and clean up rough areas with these beautifully, and they are just the duck's nuts when they're used on plastic. They don't dig in, they don't melt the plastic, they just give a really nice clean finish. Okay, a light bit of hand sanding, and we'll call that finished. I do have to finish these slots, and then I can get the thing back up again, quick smart. Now you might remember from an earlier video that this wind turbine was 100% homemade, absolutely everything. The pivoting mechanism is the steering head of a bicycle with a piece of stainless steel tubing so that it won't rust down the inside. Some of the bits I've used aren't stainless steel. It's been up here for a while. You can see the mould on the underneath. The main part of the hub here, 2 parts, was made out of that thick nylon chopping board material, and these blade holders were made from stainless steel pipes squashed flat in the vise. You might even recognise the streamlined cone on the front of the thing here is a mixing bowl. Stainless steel mixing bowl with a little piece added on, also made out of more of this, with one screw holding it through the centre, and that just gives it that finished aerodynamic look. Now, the works, I can't actually show you at the moment unless I do this. You can't see much of what's going on inside there, but that is a 3-speed ceiling fan. And the 3-speed ceiling fan has had neodymium magnets glued around the outside of it to turn it into a more efficient generator. I got the idea for this online. It hasn't worked out brilliantly. Even a belting wind, it only puts out 60 watts. But the great thing is, when I've got days or a series of days where I've got no sunshine and it's horrible weather, I've still got charge coming into my batteries. Now, the whole thing probably cost me under $200 because the mast was made out of recycled steel that I was given. The sewer pipe was something that was lying here when I bought the property. This, I think, came from the $2 shop. It's got a bit of a horrendous dent in it, as you could see, because once I let the thing down too fast and the whole shebang smacked into the concrete down here. Something I'll try not to do again. But I'm going to finish the hand sanding on this blade so that it nicely matches the others. And I'll repair the tailplane with a bit of welding, and I'll get this thing back up into the sky. Now I'm sanding this on a block just to get any of the humps and hollows that I may have inadvertently done with the grinder out of it. This is only a low-speed turbine, so balance problems won't be as important as they would be on a high-speed turbine. I will make an effort to balance the blades statically once I get the thing put back together and I get it into a vertical position. The heaviest blades will always drop to the bottom, so I can then add very small weights to the other blades to get the thing back in balance again, which it helps the bearings last longer. The bearings are very cheap and relatively easy to replace on this wind turbine. I don't really know much about bought wind turbines because I tend not to buy things when I can make them. So, making this replacement blade for the wind turbine might take me half an hour, and it's something that I should have done 3 or 4 weeks ago when the storm broke it, but there's only me here and there's always a whole heap of other stuff that has to be done, so it has been put off a bit. But I've got a TV crew coming in a week or two to do an off-grid story that I'm part of, and I do want to create a good impression by not having half-finished and broken devices lying around the place. I think the idea of this off-grid TV story is to sell the concept of living off grid to people who aren't always doing it. So it'll be a bit of an adventure showing them the composting toilet and the brew your own electricity. But there'll be those people who'll take to it, and there'll be those people who won't. There we go, that's good enough for now. It's certainly as good as the other one that I took off. Now I'm just waiting for a battery to charge up for the cordless tool, and then I can replicate those slits there. Wipe the muck off and we'll put the thing back together. Right, we've got a squall coming over. It's gross weather. It's freezing cold, getting dark, hosing with rain. The rain's pouring off my awning here. It's all pretty nasty out here. Now in weather like this, my solar panels up here are going to be doing nothing. So I'm really glad of my pitiful little 60-watt windmill, because it just keeps the batteries topped up in the worst of the weather when we get nothing else. Now go on, you can go and make your own now, you know how to do it.